Hey, what's up? My name is Omari Harriban, founder of SQSPthemes.com, the largest collection of third party Squarespace templates all in one place. Today, we're going to talk about how to make and sell your own Squarespace templates. Now, the reason I'm doing this training is because this is something that I set out to do 4 years ago and I failed really well. So, my goal is I want to kind of give you some perspective, some insight, perhaps unlock a few aha moments. If you've been on the fence, maybe I can help get you unstuck. We don't have a lot of time together, so I'm not going to get super in depth, but we are going to address some of the more common issues and questions that I hear around this topic. Now, if this is something that you're really committed to and you definitely want to do, Meg Summerfield has a workshop where she goes into some of the details on how to design and put these things together. I also have a course called Behind the Scenes of a Six-Figure Squarespace Themed Business that I made specifically for freelancers who want to get into the digital product world. So that's definitely something you might want to check out if you listen to this and you're like, oh yeah, I can listen to that. I can listen to that guy. um, and so, yeah, since I'm here talking to designers, I should also mention this is a very crude presentation, so please don't judge me on the design. There is none. And yeah, so let's jump in. So, up until now, whenever this question comes up, my response has been if you want to make and sell your own Squarespace templates, the best thing to do is to just buy one and learn from the perspective of a customer. I think anytime you're entering a new product category as a creator, one of the best things to do is to be a customer. That way you can learn what works firsthand, what doesn't work. You can figure out what you can do differently, what you can do better, where you could perhaps add value. And really, you can figure out where the gaps are in the market. And if you can fill one of those gaps, I think you can create a space for yourself. No pun intended. All right. So today we're going to get into talking a little bit about what's the whole point of creating custom Squarespace templates. Is it even worth it? Is there a market? How do you make them? And then how do you go about marketing and selling these things? All right. We're also going to touch a little bit on 7.0 versus 7.1. You might be, questioning, what's going on there. How do you create templates for these platforms that are in transition? But before we get there, why am I doing this? Now, again, I started SQSPthemes.com in 2015 with the full intention of selling my own Squarespace templates, except it wasn't as easy as I anticipated. I immediately ran into the technical limitations that come with the platform. It's not exactly set up for there to be third party templates. Everything is kind of in the box. And so that just really wasn't like a practical possibility early on. I also had my own personal limitations, like not exactly being a graphic or web designer, or not exactly being a developer or a programmer. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I can just partner with someone who has those skills, but I couldn't even find a partner who thought that this was worth pursuing. Can you believe it? um, and so, and luckily in the process, I learned to customize, aka become a Squarespace CSS hack, and I was fortunately able to turn that into a profitable service while my no templates got off the ground. But eventually I burnt out and kind of just gave up my digital product dreams. I was operating outside of my, my, what do they call it, zone of genius, so to speak. And so let's just rewind a little bit so you can get a better perspective. Now, I'm an engineer by training, I'm a marketer by trade, and I'm an artist at heart. I'm a musician. New music coming soon. And I like to think of myself as a problem solver. This was me back in 2013. A lot shorter hair. It was high, but it was short. I was working as a network engineer for Verizon, but I was also freelancing on the side as a videographer, and that's kind of how I got my, got to exercise my creativity was on the side. But I wanted to do it full time. I wanted to be, fully immersed in a creative world and doing things that I wanted to do. So I started freelancing full time in 2014, And now the big problem that I had to solve was, how do I make a living? Now I had this dream. My son, he had just been born at the time, but I wanted to be able to school him on my own by the time he reached, school age. I wanted to be able to travel freely. I didn't want to have any constraints on my time, or my creativity. I just wanted to do me. And so that first year freelancing was cool. It was like, yeah, I'm out here. I got to travel. I got to create tons of video content. I started freelancing as a Squarespace specialist, and I was lucky enough to be listed in the directory. And I started getting clients. Eventually, started to get retainer clients as well, and everything was looking up. It wasn't an easy leap by any means, but I felt like, yeah, I made that proverbial leap, and I was starting to get clients, and things were starting to work out. And then it all kind of came crashing down. My retainer client ran out of money, couldn't pay me anymore. I had a couple projects that required some intense development work that I wasn't able to source and I wasn't able to deliver on, and so I had to refund those completely. And one thing led to another, and that winter was just really cold, dark, and depressing. My wife went back to work, and I realized I didn't have any systems, I didn't have any processes, I didn't have anything sustainable. I didn't have a real business. I was simply freelancing, going from gig to gig, client to client, and just kind of hustling my way through, but there was nothing that I could actually stand on. And so I was now a stay at home dad who had walked away from a really good career. I had, a couple of degrees, but I didn't have anything to show for any of it. And I didn't have anything to show for myself. There was nothing that I had done, that I could kind of anchor as like, yeah, I've accomplished something. I felt pretty worthless, like I hadn't accomplished anything at that point. But through that journey, I had taken a bunch of online courses and watched tons of free webinars, kind of like the one you're watching right now. And I figured, all right, I've got to be able to do something with this. I've got to be able to, do something with these skills that I do have, and figure something out. And so I got back to basics, and I took inventory of what I had done that first year freelancing, and the only thing I did have to show for it was a handful of websites that I had successfully completed. And I thought, okay, well, at the very minimum, I can just cut out everything else and just focus on that, and somehow figure out how to turn it into an online business, because I knew that ultimately I didn't want to be selling my time for money. I wanted to have my time, and I wanted to be able to sell something else. So that's kind of how I came up with the idea for sqsbthemes.com. I took a look around at other web platforms, and I thought, well, there's a natural desire for customizable designs, i.e., templates. And so no matter what web platform you're looking at, if you can create a customizable design for it, there's a potential to have a third party template market. And so at the time, I don't think there was anyone really doing this on the Squarespace side. There might have been one or two designers who had executed this, but it wasn't something that was all over the place. And so, why would you want to create your own custom Squarespace templates? Well, I think the big reason for me, and I think for a lot of people, is it allows you to get away from billable hours. If you're designing regularly, you can think of it as a byproduct of what you're already doing. And it lets you serve more clients, it lets you reach more potential customers. And if you don't have a portfolio, it's a good way to create a profitable one. Now, what exactly is a Squarespace template? What qualifies as a Squarespace template? If you look at the Squarespace templates that you get when you sign up for the platform, you've got template families. So let's look at Brine, for example. You've got the Brine template family, which includes the core Brine template, which has specific features and functionalities. And then all of the other templates within that family, they share all the same features and functionalities. They just have completely different designs. So on a very basic level, I like to think about the Squarespace template as a pre-made design specifically for Squarespace. Now, you can create custom features and functions within a template. That's one way to go about it. Or you can just simply leverage the existing templates and basically reskin them with your own pre-made designs, your custom CSS, whatever. So how do they work? What's the delivery mechanism? What are the deliverables in a Squarespace template? It depends. Okay. Now, one of the most common and the easiest ways to get started with this is to create what I would consider a mini course around a particular design that you've created. And when you do that, basically you're sharing the assets and the instructions on how to customize those assets and implement them onto the site. This is something that you can, I've got a review here on a Squarespace design kit from Station 7, which uses this approach. This is just a screenshot from a video, a YouTube review that I've got on it. But you can see here on the right hand, there are specific lessons or videos on how to prepare the graphics and then how to implement those graphics into the site. Now, this is the most common way to do it. I think one of the concerns here is your customer able to follow these directions and create something that looks good? So this is where you're teaching, this is where your creativity comes into play. There's also a template importer, which is very specific to Square Studio. They have a template importer for their templates, which looks something like this. Once it's installing, it does everything for you. So a customer buys the template, they add the code to their site, and then boom, all of the assets, everything is uploaded, and they can edit it like they would any other Squarespace template. And then there's another way where you can go ahead and either set up, transfer, or hand over the site to the customer. Now, one tool that is really useful for this is squarespacewebsites.org has a Chrome extension that allows you to do a lot of things. One of those things is to clone and move content from one site to the next. So theoretically, you can use this as your delivery mechanism where you have a pre-made site design and someone wants to buy it, and you simply transfer the content to their site so that they can then edit it and do what they want with it. Okay, so big question, is there even a market for this type of thing? Now, my answer to that is, what's the first thing you do when you sign up for Squarespace? You choose a template. So every Squarespace customer has gone through that decision making process of choosing the template that's right for them. Now, I think right now there's probably a little bit over 100. um, I don't want to say the wrong number, but there's plenty of Squarespace templates that they can choose, but they might want something that isn't currently given, and so they might look outside of the Squarespace template store, and they might look for something else, and that's where you would essentially come in. Now, my favorite topic here is on the marketing. And so with that, I got to highlight the value of niching down or niching down. And there's a couple ways to niche down when it comes to Squarespace templates. I think the easiest way is by industry or by category. So, for example, let's say you work with a lot of landscapers or construction companies, and you look out there and you say, "Oh, wait, there's not many, there's not any Squarespace template that is designed with a landscape company in mind. Perhaps I can create that and sell it as an off-the-shelf template, or perhaps I can use it as a way to attract other landscape companies who want perhaps even more custom designs." Then there's your aesthetic and your style. Maybe you are a really funky designer. Maybe you've got really bold colors, and that's not something that you can, typically get. It allows you to create a space there. And really, you want to think about who can you serve best using unique particular, your unique skill sets, your aesthetic, your eye for design. Maybe there's a particular industry that you're really passionate about. Um, and how can you put those things together and really serve someone in a way that they can't be served right now? That's kind of like the mindset behind it. And this is where, again, your niche comes into play, because if you have a really clearly defined niche, then it allows you to target them with much more relevant content, if there's content involved, and really just speak directly to who it is that you want to reach. Now, the trade-off there is, when you niche down like this, then the question is like, well, what if I'm isolating potential customers? And you kind of just have to be okay with that. It's a there's a I think a leap of faith involved with pursuing a particular niche, but I think as long as you can really relate and connect and resonate with that niche, I think you'll definitely find success there. I always like to think about things as well from the customer perspective. So that's why it helps to be a customer first, or to just somehow get in your customer's shoes and think about it. Like, okay, if I need a website, what way am I going to go about it from a customer perspective? And I say that because everyone has a different way of going about things. Some people might be, scrolling through Pinterest for ideas. Other folks might be, searching YouTube for tutorials. Someone might just be looking on Upwork for someone to do it for them. So there's so many different routes and avenues. What you want to do is basically craft and carve out a path that would lead directly to you. That was pretty good, right? So to do that, you need to know what they're looking for. You need to know what they need, and the more you can tailor what you're creating to what they're looking for and what they need, it's just the better off everyone's going to be. And then the best way as well, I think I've probably said best way lots of times already. So um, ask and experiment, ask questions, don't just jump in and assume that people are going to want this thing. Test, do tests, run a lot of tests. That's pretty much been the name of my game. Is just, it's a constant experiment of trying out different things, seeing what works, experimenting, and figuring out a way that is unique and special to you, that also meets the unique needs of someone else. Now, here's a quick little case study. A couple of my internet friends created a Squarespace template recently called Thicket for the Wondering Aimfully community, which I happen to be a part of. And the reason I'm sharing this is because they have a particularly unique way of going about things. And so, with the launch of this Squarespace template, they had a different pricing strategy than you typically see. And they also had a different launch strategy than you typically see. So let me show you the landing page for Thicket. Um, and I'm not going to, you know, read everything here, but I do want to show you the bump sell aspect. So bump sell is a something that I've actually used before. You start off at a set price, and then each time someone buys, that price goes up by a dollar or $5 or $10 or whatever you set it to be. And so this template started at just $35 and increased by a dollar with each purchase. They also only offered it for a few days. So as you can see here, the template is no longer available. And so I think what that created was, excuse me, some urgency around the launch, some exclusivity, knowing that, okay, you're not going to be the only one, but there's also a limit on how many people are going to buy this thing within the window that it's launched. And then, of course, the price, it goes up incrementally with each purchase. So, it's a fun kind of a way to sell something. All right. So 7.0 versus 7.1. This is probably on your mind right now if you are a Squarespace designer. It's, do I start building all my sites in 7.1, or do I just stick with 7.0? I think ultimately it's up to you. The major difference as far as templates are concerned is that 7.1 is one template. There's no multiple templates with different features and functions. It's one template that you can customize. There's no developer mode, so that means you can't really, create your own template, like template. And so that's, even more limitations, but I think it potentially could breed even more creativity because everyone is starting from the same base, and this doesn't remove the need for custom designs. It doesn't remove the need for someone looking for a website template that most reflects their needs as a business, and your ability to deliver on that. And so I think for now, 7.1, I mean, it's definitely not going anywhere. It's still going to be supported. So you can't lose from creating on that particular platform. And then 7.1, I think I would wait a little bit until some of the features are more solidified. There's a number of things that you can't do with 7.1 yet that you can do with 7.0. So I think I would just wait a little bit and see how the dust settles on that before making any commitments, especially because it seems like an iterative move. It's not, they didn't jump from 7.0 to 8.0, if that makes a difference. But anyway, thought I would mention that since it's something that I think people have been asking. And then, of course, you can partner with sqspthemes.com, the largest collection of third-party Squarespace templates in one place. And so I would definitely suggest browsing through and checking out the different categories, checking out the different designers, seeing how their templates work, how their sales pages are set up. Maybe you can get some inspiration. Um, you know, yeah, I mean, I think there are some amazing designers here who have done a great job of, bringing something new and fresh for Squarespace users who are looking for something new and fresh. So I think this is obviously a great place to start if you're looking to explore this particular product category. And then finally, if you want to learn a little bit more, like I mentioned in the beginning, Meg Summerfield of SquareDesignGuild.com has a Square template workshop where you can, it's a guide to design, prep, and sell Squarespace templates. So I know Meg gets into the more of the nitty gritty details on exactly how you would go about, or how you can potentially go about designing templates for the purpose of selling them. So I definitely recommend this. Meg creates awesome work all the time. So there's no doubt about this being useful and worth whatever the price is. And then you can also, if you want to work with me, if you want to get behind the scenes of a six-figure Squarespace themed business and learn some more of the strategies, tools, and resources that I've used to get to where I'm at today, then you should definitely join this course. I really created this because I wanted to create a higher level community of Squarespace designers and entrepreneurs who want to, who are committed to creating digital products for this platform. But even if you don't want to create digital products for this platform, if you just want to go from freelancing and running a service-based business to running a digital product-based business, then I think this is a great way for you to work and connect and collaborate with other people like myself who are doing the same thing. So definitely check this out as well. I'll leave a link wherever this video is posted. You'll find a link. And I should also mention that Meg's course has, I think, what's the date? So depending on when you watch this, you're gonna have to like enroll pretty soon. Um, I don't know right now, but check it out. Hopefully you don't miss the enrollment if you're interested in it. My course is ongoing. You can join at any time. But I do offer incentives every once in a while so that to make it more of a no-brainer than it already is. So that's all I have for you today. I promised I wouldn't be too long, so that's it. catch you back inside the Squarespace Entrepreneur Facebook group, or whatever, or in your inbox, or wherever else you may find me online. All right, take care. Peace.